Hello, I'm John Bachman. Nancy Wrightball, one of the U.S. missionaries infected with Ebola, or once infected with Ebola, talks for the first time today about her recovery. Wrightball contracted the disease while treating patients in West Africa. She talked about getting the normally deadly diagnosis and the fact that her husband, David, tried to comfort her with a hug, an embrace she had to resist.
And I knew how dangerous that was. And so I said, no, just no. And I said, David, it's going to be okay. It's really going to be okay.
Well, Wrightball's recovery gives us hope the disease may be treatable for some. This despite the fact the virus continues to spread across West Africa. Today we got word that a third American missionary working in Liberia has contracted Ebola. He's currently being treated in an isolation unit at the hospital where he works. Also today, a British man was infected with the deadly disease. He was released from a London hospital. He's expected to make a full recovery. And the CDC says an immediate action is still needed to stop the full-blown global epidemic. Now in France, President François Hollande is suspending the delivery of a warship to Russia. He's citing security concerns about Russian involvement in the conflict in eastern Ukraine. The new announcement comes after months of pressure to halt the sale. It's also just one day before the start of a pivotal NATO summit. World leaders are arriving there now. They will discuss Russia's recent involvement with Ukrainian separatists. Now, the move comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin tries to push for peace in Ukraine, at least publicly. Putin spoke about the conflict earlier today. He's asking for Russian-backed insurgents to halt their advance and for Ukraine government forces to withdraw from the region. The rebels have rejected the move. A Putin spokesman says that his government is not in a position to agree to a ceasefire plan. The official claims that that's because Russia is not really involved in the conflict. And President Obama will be arriving in Wales very soon for perhaps the most important NATO summit ever. As we mentioned earlier today in Estonia, the president promised Baltic states and NATO members that the U.S. would fully support them in the face of growing Russian aggression.
It was not the government of Kiev that destabilized eastern Ukraine. It's been the pro-Russian separatists who are encouraged by Russia, financed by Russia, trained by Russia, supplied by Russia, and armed by Russia.
So as President Obama speaking in Estonia earlier today, the president added that the U.S. will, quote, be there for Estonia, pledging that with the help of NATO, they will never again lose their independence as they have before. I'm John Bachman. We'll have more news ahead in 30 minutes. Now back to the Steve Malzberg Show.